Deathwatch.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Prophecy of Dusk and Dawn. I'm your game master for today, Chris, and I'm joined by the usual suspects. As always, let's have them start introducing themselves, starting on my left here.
I'm Brandon. I'll be playing Landon Velox, a young nobleman trying to save his brother who's done a terrible deed.
And I'm Travis playing Hadrius Ordius, and I'm hopefully going to be traveling through these lands without any attempts to stop me. Gonna make good deals with the humble folk along the way. Everybody will be happy.
No waylaying.
No wayland. Don't waylay me.
And I am John playing Jardine, a.k.a. Daneglass, who is now also a humble merchant. And this is my wagon.
Excellent. So it would seem that all roads still continue to lead to Castrum Low, save for one. That journey is completed. Our good friend Landon there finally made it. And as he stated, his brother has in fact ran afoul of Duke Slow, and it seems to be pretty bad for him. And he still endeavors to free him, or?
Well, I endeavor to not be the one that has to make the decision for him to be punished. Because of the
nature of it.
The grief it'll cause me.
Yeah,
if
understandable.
I'm the one to do it.
And Jardine and Hadrius are just south of Domus Solis, making their way eastward currently through the lands of Duchessa Sarcherdos. So let's get started. We're going to go back in time slightly to the the morning of New Spring on the 1st. Even at this time in the morning, with Solar still hours away from rising, the hallways of Castrum Solis have already begun to reach an uncomfortable level of warmth due to the heat from the candles that line the walls. Behind you, Jardine, your servants scramble to keep pace, and they're juggling multiple cases of scrolls that have various information on them for stockpiles taken from around the realm. And today, you'll be taking orders from the council about how those stockpiles need to be topped off, and if any repairs to cannons or mortars need to be done, making sure everything is in tip-top shape. You usually draw straws amongst the other royal alchemists for this duty, as it's fairly boring and no one really wants to do it. And it happens about this time every year. Beginning of the year, you guys will gather up all the information you need on the stockpiles and give out orders and send repairmen out as needed. And so you're currently heading towards the council chambers. Could you give me a listen? Why not? Oh, there we go. Double roll.
For some reason it wasn't showing that it was rolling, and then it rolled twice on the click.
That's all right.
Failure. We'll take that first one.
Okay. So you hear muffled shouting up ahead, coming down the hallway. The council chambers basically around the corner and down the hall from your current point.
But can't recognize any of the voices.
No, but it's seeming pretty heated.
Well, I'll go see what there is to see. Maybe I can be of assistance.
All right. So you turn that corner. Give me a stamina difficult.
How do you make it difficult on that one?
I think it might do it when you go to...
when you click it.
Yeah. But worst comes to worst, it's just half the rating. Yeah.
Success.
Success. All right. So you're going around that corner, and you manage not to be deafened by the sudden sound of gunfire just suddenly filling that hallway. Seconds after the first shots ring out, you see two men stumble into the hallway. One's a Castrum guard, and the other's a young man dressed in red and black. He has his weapon, his sword. It's essentially a rapier, but it would be a small sword meant for dueling. It's up and under the guard's arm, up through the armpit, and he has him pressed against the wall now. Roll.
Yeah, I was going to say, do I recognize what house those colors belong to, or which faction?
Yeah, etiquette, royal court, knowledge royal court, politics, or status.
Success with the etiquette royal court.
All right. You recognize the colors of House Velix. You know that etiquette? You know that he's oddly tempered, but you can't quite remember this one's name. You just know that most people avoid avoid them around the castrum. From inside that chamber, you can hear the voice of Edric. He's currently shouting for the... Okay, he's shouting something. You can't quite hear what it is. And currently more nobles are pouring out of that room, still about, I don't know, maybe about 30 feet down the hallway from you.
Well,
And they're currently engaged with guards.
Is there an ongoing political tension between these two factions?
There wasn't, but there
does this
definitely
just
appears to
seem-
be now.
Okay. I mean, my place here definitely isn't to stop conflicts. I would imagine. It's
No.
it's
Yours
purely
is to end them.
Yeah, purely to make the means of ending them.
Yeah, there you go.
So there were shots fired. He's got a sword now pressed up, or with this guy pressed up against the wall of this guard.
Mm-hmm. And there are other nobles backing out of that council room that are currently engaged with guards that were in there.
What was you said I was currently going to check on cannons?
You were currently going to get stockpile reports, basically, like inventory.
Okay.
You were doing inventory for the year, at the beginning of the year. This is something that happens about this time every year. Not the fighting, you getting inventory. All right.
I think that I'll and it is have I been noticed, or can I just get back? Or I'll go back the way I came. I mean, again, this the guards do the fighting, not me.
All right, so you flee back down the direction you came, and as you do, you hear again that sound, that thunderous sound of gunfire, and the cries as bullets are ripping through people. And up ahead, you're seeing a good number, about 10, of the Royal Dragoons pouring down the hallway in that direction. Somewhere a bell's begun to ring, signaling that there is something to be alarmed about. And it's with that ringing bell slowly going off into the distance that you wake up. Where do you sleep in Hadrius's wagon? Do you sleep under
either in the bed or under it. And in the bed if we're traveling and I'm sleeping, but yeah, usually I'll go under it if we're stopped for the night.
So the dream fades, and you awaken on this, the 24th of Spring's End, with Solar just beginning to lighten in the eastern sky. Hadrius, what are you doing this morning?
Yes, well, the day begins early for me, because the horses must be tended to before we can even begin.
Okay.
So I'll start out with brewing a strong tea. Maybe I saw old Dane Glass being restless as he was sleeping.
You could probably say that, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll make sure there's an extra cup ready for him when he wakes. And once I've got that in my body, then I'll begin the errands, the chores, to get this wagon moving.
I'll wake with a start. Just sweaty as one does, from a troubled dream. Look around in a panic. There's the sounds of the sounds that were echoing off the hallways, still ringing in the ears, and just get my bearings for a second.
Yeah, I'm with a little metal cup or whatever. It's steaming cup. That's kind of the first thing you might wake up to. I see you start to rouse. Push it toward you. Bad dream there, huh, Dane?
Yes. It's very dangerous in the palace sometimes. I'll just take the cup and take a big drink of it, whatever it is.
Haha, fooled you. It's the sour ale from
It's the deadly iocane powder.
Well, I'll wonder at what palace he was talking. Was there a palace in where we came from where I picked him up? So.
You picked him up outside the wall
Yeah.
of Castrum Solis. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'll assume that's probably what he's talking about. But I follow the unspoken rule of minimal conversation in the morning.
You're just the driver.
Right. And I'll tell Ollie that, it'll be about an hour or two perhaps before we get started. If you wanted to, catch a couple winks now, I can keep an eye on everything.
Yeah. He nods and hops into the back of the wagon.
Okay.
He's starting to avoid the wool, though. It's starting to get a little too hot
Right.
at this point in the year.
He sleeps with the beeswax instead.
Oh, yeah, that was something I forgot to do. Do you know how much storage your wagon has?
I don't.
All right, let's find that. So out of that, you're going to -3 to have about a 50-gallon barrel of water, if that's cool with you, Travis.
Yeah.
To keep on your travels here. Wagon, 4-horse. 36 is your cargo size. And then you can figure that one average takes up 1 unit if you want.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what. And then like cheap would take up 2 to equal, essentially, if you wanted it to equal the same price as an average. Huh?
Gotta come up with my horses' names. Do a random horse generator. See, we got Sweet Fire.
All right, so currently you guys are pulled over to the side of the road. That's where you camped for the night. There is a small copse of trees nearby, so if you wanted to sleep in there, you could.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to do whatever I would normally do.
Yeah.
So as not to look, like a weirdo.
Let's see. For the most part, you've been encountering refugees here or there, fleeing Sarcherdos' lands. There's rumors that from a lot of them that you get, stating that it's usually a different lord's men. Sometimes it's Lachlan or Bellis. Sometimes it's Low. That their men are taking to raiding and birding villages in the area. So,
well, that's what I was just going to ask, is when I might expect to come across the next village. That's like a general question I'll have for the refugees that we encounter.
let's see. The last ones you met would have been yesterday around midday. They were walking. They were very hungry, very thirsty, and if very skittish as well when they saw you. But if you shared some of your water or some food, they probably would have opened up. Or you could have just, smacked them have Ollie beat him up with the butt of his halberd.
Answer the question.
Hit 'em
Water
with the
costs
whip.
a quarter.
Yeah.
These cups aren't free.
No ice cups. The restroom's only for customer.
No, I'll share the water with the assumption that I'll be able to refresh it at some point soon.
That's the other thing is between the three of you, that water will last about 16 days on the road. So
Yeah, I think with the 16 days, I'll be comfortable offering water.
Got any water?
Yeah.
No, I mean IRL. Do you have water?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, when you share with them, they say that they came from a village slightly off to the north from here, and it was attacked. But they think that there's another village, if you keep following the road, that hasn't been ransacked yet.
How are my food stores?
Well, I don't know on that. I figured you guys were eating your stock is what was happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't share food then.
Okay. If you want, you could try setting up traps or hunting.
Yeah.
These plains, you have been hearing, if you're city boys, you probably don't know what it is you're hearing, especially like Jardane, but you have been hearing some sort of sounds at night that you believe would belong to animals that were possibly edible.
Dane, tell me, are you much of a hunter? Been a minute since I had some fresh meat. Fortunately, I didn't pick up that skill in Maris Oris. Not really necessary.
Most of my meals were provided for me, but I don't know how difficult it would be. I could probably come up with something.
Yeah, surely a rabbit will scare as we're traveling down the road, and all we do is throw a rock at it or something. Can't be much to it.
Yeah, create a sufficiently loud noise and watch as its heart stops from fear.
Well,
It should be noted, Hadrius, that it wasn't too long ago that Jardane did sacrifice that bunny that you guys could have been eating
we
now.
could have been eating that sickly rabbit.
It was good luck.
Well, I think we'll have to make to this rumored village the refugees are speaking about to get some more food, because it appears that you and I are not capable of feeding ourselves in a situation like this.
So you're not seeing, you should probably reach it by about midday, maybe even mid-morning, and you're not seeing any smoke on the horizon yet. So potentially a good
sign.
Yeah. So you guys going to take off, or are you going to?
Yeah, well, once I got all the horses ready, hooked up to the wagon, and I do a customary religious check of the wagon to make sure everything is in its proper place, and
Roll spot.
find my own smuggling cubby.
Success.
Failure. Looks good.
So you're checking the wagon too, Jardine?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just rolling the spot.
He had it hot keyed.
Yeah.
Well,
Spot.
I'll give it to you. Like, that's something that I do think that they try to ensure that that's why the players, I mean, I guess I technically did ask for it, but I didn't ask you. I'll give it to you. Put a check next to it if you don't got one. You do see the smoke from the north, from the village that those refugees were coming from. Still smoldering, so we'll give that one to you. But Hadrius, you don't notice anything odd about the wagon. Everything seems to be in order. There was a wheel that was kind of squeaking, but you have since remedied that.
Well, if you fix one squeaky wheel, there'll soon be another.
They all
as I'm
squeak.
fond of saying.
And with that, everything is good to go?
Yep.
All right. You take off for the day down the road towards the east. And let's see. Roll a luck for me. Don't care which one of you, because you got the same, I do believe.
Yep. I think I did the last one.
Jardine?
And you asked me what was wrong with me today. Because I failed.
Oh, yeah. Like again.
Success.
Good job.
All right. So you are traveling, and right around midday, just like they said, where is it? Is it this? No. You come across that town.
The one that was to the north, the refugees
To the
were,
east.
or to the east, okay.
Yeah, they came from the north. You guys are heading east along the road. And I can't seem to find my map marker, but we will go here. So yeah, you guys do come to a town around mid-morning.
Is it intact still, or?
Yes. You see chimney fires, from smoke from chimneys, not chimney fires, but smoke from chimneys. There seems to be people out and about. Many of them seem to be packing up.
Smart move. Well, I'll lead the team and the wagon to the town square or the green or whatever, the middle part of the town.
All right. You see there is a man there. He's dressed fairly well, and he is doing some sort of prayer ritual towards the sun. But other than that, like I said, this is a fairly small town, lots of stone, squat buildings, and the baronia that most likely runs this place, his house is off to the north side and is a bit more well-to-do, but still fairly humble.
Maybe we can restock on some of those supplies here. I know that people are trying to pack up and leave, but they may not be able to take everything.
Yeah. Why don't you see about that, Dane, and I'll go talk to this baron.
This is my first merchant interaction. You're going to come back and have nothing left, but we'll have food.
Just remember, Semper Claudendo, and you will be okay. Yeah, so I'll, hop down from the driver's seat, and stretch my legs and look at the praying man.
You could take a guess that the praying man is fairly well off.
Okay, yeah, it's as good a place to start as any, so I'll wait respectfully for his prayer to conclude before I greet him.
All right, if you want, you can roll, what is it? Lingua Orientum, I believe is what it is, the Near East tongue.
Failure.
You can push it if you want, or because it's
roller.
I believe it's technically a mental, or
communication.
Communication, mental. You could spend 1 power point to lower it 2.
So at a rate of 1 to 2.
Yeah.
So I'd have to spend 4.
And those come back at the end of the day as opposed to the hour when they're spent that way.
Yeah, I guess I'll give it a shot.
All right.
So that would just do a regular success.
Yeah, you are able to pick up on what he is saying in the tongue of the Near East. And it's a fairly simple prayer to Solar to bless the day, but it's also incorporating aspects of Terra, the Terran cultist religions, as well as nameless spirits of the land as well. You've been to the Near East on various mercantile endeavors, and their religious structure is kind of fast and loose, right? The church is more structured. It is about Solar. Terra and Luna are not bad or evil, but they aren't necessarily the limelight. It is Solar, period, type of thing. But over in the Middle East, or not the Middle East, the Near East, there's a bit more variety, I guess you could say. They maybe hew to the older ways. Land spirits are a thing. ancestors also can be beseeched for guidance and blessings and stuff like that. So,
Okay. Yeah, well, it's not the gods that I pray to, but I will still wait quietly until he's done, and when he is, I'll be like, good day, sir. Or
Yeah.
good day.
So he finishes by lighting some bundled incense of some sort that was in a ceremonial kind of bowl, and then he turns, and you recognize that he's finished with his prayer, and you say hello to him, and he's like, hello, I am Audley Rakesh, the baronia of this town of Plainstead.
And I am Hadrius Ordius, at your service, a simple trader with simple goods for simple folk.
You have the tongue of Morris Oris about you.
Yes, you are observant. That is where I hail from. We're traveling northeast.
In these troubled times?
It's not ideal, but I didn't know that they would be so troubled until we were already here.
None do that live through such times. How can I assist you?
Well, I can see it looks as though many of your folk are preparing to flee for safety.
Yes, we seek to hopefully enter into the Duchess's estate to the north, but we fear she may turn us away.
Well, what I require is very simple, just a few supplies to carry us on our journey. If we can purchase them, we have some coin, or trade if you have men or women in need of wool and beeswax. I have some spirits to trade as well. With your leave, I might do so.
You have my leave, but I am fearful of how much. Many of her men passing through here have already taken much. They've already taken a lot of the men that were here as well for conscription. I fear that they'll come back and take the children as well. So,
well, perhaps we will just then be buying if there's anything to be bought.
You are more than welcome to try. I, however, must continue on with my day's duties and prepare for our journey.
Well, good day and best of luck.
Solar's blessing be upon you. Fancy.
Yeah, no, but I'll walk away sort of muttering to myself.
Yeah, so if you want, let's see, John's also inquiring on stuff?
I sent him off for the supply part of it to get, like, the food, and maybe we can fill up our barrel at their well.
So we'll get a luck roll from each of you. This will be determined whether or not you stumble across anything, like right out in the open. Hadrius.
Success.
Oh, Dane, success. Hadrius, not so much. All right, so Jardane, you do stumble across a woman with a flock of children kind of at her feet. The oldest one's keeping the younger ones in line.
Don't come back with a kid.
But
And
they're full of nutrition.
and you recognize that it would appear that her house was like a drying house for like meats and preserving various vegetables or fruits. And she is currently struggling with a bag, like a pack. She's stuffed it full, but she's still trying to stuff more of these dried goods into it.
Let me lighten your burden. Take the bag and then walk away.
I'll
worry
introduce
about it.
myself as good day, madam. My name is Dane Glass, and I'll try to take a page from Hadrius. It's a humble trader, or maybe merchant.
All right,
Either
you
way,
can roll.
I need some supplies, and
You can roll a charisma or a mercantile skill if you want.
I think it'll probably
I don't
have to
want
be
to.
a charisma.
All right, go for it.
No.
All right, so she doesn't freak out or anything. She just looks at you with suspicion. There's a lot of that going around these days, so you can probably figure it's maybe not warranted on you, but some level of suspicion is good to have in this era.
You also have an appearance of 6 because you have a habit of drinking colloidal silver and you're blue. Alchemist, right?
I'll try to continue on with the pitch, which was that I've got a wagon full of wool and I need food.
You have a wagon full of wool, spirits, and like probably starting to sour apples.
He's always going on about wool, so I definitely know we've got that. 'Cause that's and I'll look at the children though. I mean, are they well clothed or no?
Yeah, for their station. I mean, they have shoes and heavily patched garments. compared to compared to what you're used to, they might as well, be rolling around in
rags.
the pigsty. Yeah.
Yeah, and trying to think of a way that I would put this. It seems that your children are in desperate need of good wool, as opposed to, and I'll just kind of like wave my hand at them in general. So it seems that a trade is in order.
First you insult. First you come up here talking like that, then you insult my children. And what am I going to do with wool? I'm not a spinner. I'm not a seamstress. Away on with you, fancy one.
I had just thought that you folk all made your own clothing.
I thought you simple folk.
And I'll look back at the wagon and just mutter, like, there might be some clothes.
She does see you kind of eyeing the wagon, and she kind of bites at her lower lip. You got anything else other than wool?
I'm sure I do. Why don't you come over and take a look?
She eyes you suspiciously. But she is in a desperate enough situation where she's willing to risk. Plus, it's the middle of the day, and she's in the middle of her town.
I'm a finely dressed person, so...
Well, so are the people that came and took her husband and her eldest son.
Yeah, but yeah.
But yeah, she goes over to the wagon and begins rummaging through it.
As I'll smile confidently at Ollie.
The guard's not for sale.
He eyes you suspiciously and puts his cloth hat over his eyes and goes back to sleeping.
As you can see, we various goods for trade. Hopefully Hadrius will be back soon, or else he really will be left with nothing.
I wasn't gone too long, just a short conversation with that guy, and I went muttering back to the wagon. So you might be leading them to me and the wagon.
Yeah, that's quite possible.
Yeah, because if he is there,
I failed my luck, though.
All right.
Yeah, if he is there, I will introduce him as my partner.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to say he's going to be back there, but back at your wagon, haven't failed to immediately find anyone willing to trade, Hadrius. Would you begin like the hawker's pitch, basically?
Yeah. So wool, beeswax, spirits.
All right.
Don't ask for salt; it was already stolen.
You can roll a bargain.
Okay.
To try to, or a charisma.
Success with the bargain.
All right, so yeah, you are able to begin gathering some tentative window shoppers, as you would have called them back in Mars Oris, but browsers, I guess, would probably be the better word.
Coin or trade, we're open to all negotiations.
Yeah, roll your...
What was her name? Did she give me her name?
She has not.
Oh. Well, if we can make it back to the wagon, then I'll introduce... this is Hadrius, my business partner. And Hadrius, this is...
Hadrius eyes you suspiciously.
I'm sorry, ma'am. As, I didn't get your name, but she has some food goods for us. I think she needs some clothes.
Well, good woman, I don't have any clothes. I do have the wool to make them, but if you don't have that knowledge, then perhaps that's no use for you. But spirits for the children to keep them calm on a dark journey.
She's kind of holding the bag of dried goods that she was stocking like in front of her. She's like, I didn't say anything about clothes. It's this weird dapper man that's been saying that my children need clothing and that I'm a bad mother.
Oh, he doesn't mean that. He's
some business partner you have.
Yeah, well, he's learning the ropes. Don't mind him. He grew up in a place that didn't see much of the outside world. You'll have to forgive him any, what's the word? Brain's not working too good. Missteps.
There.
Please, I beg you, good woman.
But anyway, she does start kind of eyeing stuff in the wagon. What do you have in there that she...
Probably not much, but I have the wool, the beeswax, and beer/spirits.
I think she would be willing to trade for beeswax and beer.
Okay. Keep the kids fed.
That said, we're going to kind of hand wave a lot of the sales going on here. Roll your appraise for the people that have gathered.
Okay. Appraise is a success.
All right, so they're willing to essentially trade 1 for 1
Okay.
for stuff if you essentially want to swap out inventory.
Yeah, and I think I'm basically trading away some of my inventory for our road supplies, right?
Yeah.
So what does, say, one average unit of my inventory equate to as far as supplies lasting us in the journey? So what would 1 unit of average road supplies last me?
I'd say 1 unit of average road supplies will get you and your 2 traveling companions fed for a day.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Well, I think we'll have to get at least the better part of a week in this wagon, given we're traveling through war-torn countries. So,
and week is 10 days. In this.
right. So I think I'll try to trade away 6 of my units for 6 units of goods that we can consume on the journey east and north.
All right.
Just, do you want any particular way that goes out of my inventory, or do you just want me to scatter shot it in the old, I can't think of the word, what the heck? Leisure?
Yeah, you can just, they don't care for this. We're just hand waving it.
Okay.
So it's a bunch of nebulous, faceless commoners that just take your supplies and spit out what you need.
It's like what game was that? There's an NPC where all the NPCs that you don't talk to just don't have faces. That's all right.
There's a couple of those, actually.
Well, I'll take 6 units out of my various things and put the supplies in there. And figure that's the best we'll be able to do for now, and hope that we'll come across more opportunities in the future.
Now, what I keep meaning to do, and I might have to change it, is that if you had gotten, say, a special on your appraise, you would have scaled it differently. So you would have traded 1 unit and essentially gotten 2. But it seems to be maybe
I'm a 1-for-1 trader.
Yeah. I might change it to where if you have a success, you can stage it 1.
Yep, so I'll stay busy with the business of trading, looking at I imagine the hodgepodge of dried meats and various other things that we get, and figuring, that ought to do it for about a half a week or the better part of a week, and not wanting to delay too long. As soon as the bulk of the trading's complete, I'll close up the wagon and wish everybody good luck on their journeys through the war-torn country. May your children not be taken into slavery. May you not be killed as just a game for bored soldiers. Solar bless you all. Well, Dane, what did you think? Your first day as a trader, a merchant.
It was, I think, pretty successful. I don't know exactly how I offended her, but I'm sure that the next one will go better. If you had seen what her children were wearing, you would have suggested clothing too.
Well, Dane, sometimes clothing is hard to obtain for people. That's what you got to understand. If you want to sell to someone, you have to come down to their level and look like them and talk like them, and that way they trust you. Just like me. They trust me when I sell to them.
And you guys are pushing?
I don't know. Were we pushing?
You were last time to get out of...
Yeah,
I know when
to get out.
Do you want to try to keep it going, or do you just want to...
I would say maybe a few days out of here, just because we did get slowed down quite a bit getting up to that gate. There's any extra time that we could put in.
Well, yes, I'll let us push on for 1 more day, and we'll see how the horses are doing tomorrow, and perhaps we'll do it again.
All right. So I'm thinking about making pushing work where every day you push, you just lose 1 fatigue, and then that doesn't come back until you stop pushing, essentially.
What did these simple folk call their village?
Plainstead. But for the most part, there's like no real signs on a lot of this stuff. Not that I would do any good if there were, because most of them can only read within a limited scope, usually pertaining to their profession.
All right, well, I have the records updated. Shall we carry on, Dane, or is there anything else you needed to do?
No, I think I'm all set.
All right, we're going to stop there with you guys, but before we go, I'd like a luck roll from both of you for the next couple days, essentially, that you guys will be traveling here.
Failure.
Success.
All right. Alrighty. Then we go to Landon. You were heading to the encampment north of the Murus?
Yeah, my father's men.
All right. So Solar is riding low in the western skies by the time you reach the Valexian encampment on the north side of the Morus, surrounded by a deep trench, save for the cardinal directions where a land bridge allows for access to the interior of the camp. At the far side of the land bridge, you're approaching from the south, are 2 lightly armored spearmen just standing watch.
Okay. And I have Chelsis with me?
Yes, you have Chelsis, and you're probably about 8 men. You sent a couple of them, I believe, to go look for a man your brother mentioned.
Yeah, his name was Wesley
Iakomos.
Yeah.
All right. So, if you want, you can roll a status for me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Failure.
All right. So one of the guards sees you, and he'll come running up to you as you're approaching the land bridge, and he salutes. And before he starts speaking to you, Commander, hand on heart, salute. But you can tell by the look in his face that he knows you're a commander, but he doesn't know who you are.
Oh, okay.
If it pleases you, I can lead you to where the other lords have set their tents.
Yes, thank you.
He gives they don't bow at this point when they're in combat mode, essentially. So he salutes again before turning on his heel and
Okay.
guiding you into the tents. So after the exterior row of tents are passed, the interior becomes a honeycomb of pathways set up by how the tents are arranged. And it's done this way on purpose to kind of lead into confusion and allow for setups in case anyone does make it past the initial land bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Then you hit the Equus line where the knights set up their tents. It's in a massive ring before the actual inner part of the encampment. Then there's some kitchen tents set up at the 4 directions, and then you actually hit where the officers are set up.
Okay.
And in the very center of the encampment is a large tent called the Bedlam Tentorium, which is the war tent. It's where all the strategic stuff would be discussed. It's a giant tent that's meant to be able to be opened on all 4 sides and just have a covering, like a roof covering.
Yeah, like a canopy.
Yeah, a canopy. And currently, there is 1 man in the Bedlam Tentorium, and you can roll a spot if you wish to recognize him.
Okay.
If not, you'll just have to get closer.
Let me roll that here. Okay, so failure.
All right, so if you want, you can push it, or you can go 1 PowerPoint to lower it 2.
No, it's all right. I'm just looking around. I'll see if I recognize him. But from this distance, I don't.
Okay.
I'll figure out who it is when I get there.
All right. So he's going to lead you to the row of commander tents and find one that's empty for you to sit up.
Okay.
If you wish.
No. So he's leading me away from the Bedlam Tentorium?
Yeah, over to one of the sides, essentially, to an empty commander's tent.
No, I'll just turn and head to the Bedlam Tentorium.
All right.
And, I'll just go that direction.
All right. So you do kind of, he kind of continues marching off towards the commander's tents for a second or two, and then you basically hear him run to catch up to you. Commander, your tent.
No, there's no need for that at the moment. Thank you. I'm in quite a hurry. Who's in command here?
Commander Rob Morgan, sir.
Excellent. That's who I need to speak with.
You recognize that name. He is actually one of your uncles on your mother's side.
Okay.
Your mother and him, if you look on the map, I'll ping it for you. They hail from a group of isles to the south off this way. And they're a clan. They are a bunch of different clans of warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And so your father met him years ago, decades ago now, when he was going to war in the Near East, because that's where a lot of them go to kind of get blooded.
Okay.
It's a very important thing in their culture. And so they became fast friends back then, and eventually it led to him meeting your mother.
And he's from the islands where? Northeast of our land?
Southwest.
Oh, over here. Okay.
Yeah, way down there.
Okay. And have I met him before?
Yes, briefly. Probably would have been around the time your father was coming back from the Near East that gave him his wound. It was right before you got shipped off to Marsaurus.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'll just continue along on my horse to that tentorum,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll dismount there and go speak with him.
All right. So Rob Morgan, who's currently standing in that Bedlam tentorum, is like a giant of a man. His white hair, you remember it being red, streaked with white the last time you saw him, but that is completely gone now. Is standing kind of just hunched over that table, fists on the table, just staring at essentially the map that you guys have been seeing for most of this time, and it currently has little pieces being placed on it. And he looks up when he sees you, and he seems to be like he was about to cuss at you, but he bites it off quick when he gets a look of your face.
Yeah. So then I'll dismount and I'll say, "Uncle," and I'll do like a respectful salute, or whatever we do in times like this. But specifically, I want to show as much respect as possible, almost as if I am his subordinate. And I'll say, "Uncle, it's been a long time since I saw you."
As you've grown into a man.
And
And apparently they only taught you how to simper around down south. Marsaurus.
well, they taught me a few things. But I forgot most of it.
Anyway, I guess I should be saluting you.
There's no need for that. I've come because I received a message from my father to make all haste to reach here. My brother, as you know, is in some trouble.
He kind of grimaces at that, nods, and then he looks to the soldier that's standing nearby and waves him away.
You get out of here. That's the sentry that brought me here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he kind of puts his hand on your shoulder and leads you into the tent
Okay.
the rest of the way. Nasty business that was. Is, I guess I should say. Caused a right mess of everything. We don't got time for this.
Yeah, what do you think we ought to do?
If what I hear is true, we should just cave his head in. Be done with it. Not that I would say that.
Of course not. But I have spoken with him, and there is, I think, enough reason to believe that he might have been drugged.
Likely excuse for a rat.
Perhaps, but I have to investigate it. I'm sure you understand what it would look like if I didn't do everything I can.
All this mess with titles and whatnot, I just never really understood it. Just fight him. Have it be done.
Oh, is that a thing we do here?
Yeah, it's a thing we do.
No, I don't.
It's one thing I agree with what they do in Marsaurus. Someone annoys you, you just stick a sword in them.
Right. Well, first of all, if I were to stick a sword in my brother, then I would be the heir, which is the last thing I want. And second, I don't think I would win. Anyways, there is enough from what I gathered from him to lead me to believe that at least it should be investigated. But most importantly, as silly as it may seem to you, Uncle, if he is to be punished for this, I must do everything in my power to make sure I'm not the one who makes that decision. That's why I've come here. I need you to dispatch some of your fastest riders to make all haste to reach my father, to explain the situation to him and get his decision, or at least hasten him along on his path. Actually, what do we, pigeons or ravens?
There are pigeons. Whether or not they brought any, you'd have to go talk to someone who'd be in charge of that.
Yeah.
Most likely
anyway,
you do have some, though.
I need to get a message to my father as quickly as possible, to get him to hasten here with all speed so that he can make the decision. And while we wait, I have to do everything in my power to investigate this situation, to make sure that he wasn't drugged, or if he was, find out who's responsible.
Don't really think. I'll bite my tongue. I'll help you where I can.
Mm-hmm.
I have bigger fish to fry. And he'll point to the map and kind of tap it with a finger that's probably about 2.5 of yours.
Okay. Yeah.
And he'll just kind of...
Well, what is the issue, Uncle? What's going on here? Why are you camped outside, and why does it look like you're preparing for an assault from the castle?
Really have been in Motosaurus too long. This is how we camp.
Okay.
But we're preparing for an assault on Damas Solis, as you know. That upstart king.
Yes. Which is why we've got to get this straightened out as quickly as possible.
And as for why we're camped outside the city gates, it's because they were locked to us when we showed up because of your brother's transgressions.
Yeah. Well, I've spoke with Duncan,
You can also call him Dunk if you want to.
the younger,
Yeah.
and had the gate opened. So it should be open to us now, as long as everybody understands that we're not to cause any trouble. I think that they're concerned, obviously, that you'll try to mount a rescue, which must not be done.
Well, it wouldn't happen.
Okay.
I wouldn't waste the men on it.
Right.
Besides, the chance of Lowe's men posing any sort of a resistance to us is not a thing. I don't want to wipe out what will eventually probably be our cannon fodder.
Okay, then we're on the same page. Now, that's what I need. I need the, fastest riders or pigeons or ravens or whatever you have to get the message to my father and make him hurry up.
He knows, Landon. He said it was in your hands on this one. If you want, I can dispatch riders right now. He should be on the way. A couple more days, perhaps a week.
Okay. Thank you.
Until then, I have no real need for you. You can do your investigation. Or you can sit here in this tent with me and try to puzzle out how we break into that Cunabula and into Damas Solis proper. It's going to be a hell of a fight.
Nope. Not it. That's for you to worry about, Uncle. I'll get to my investigation.
All right. All right, away with you then. And he'll put his fists back on the table and start looking at that map again. At some point during your conversation with him, the sun set.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'll send, Chelsis to go get the tents ready that sentry was going to take me to originally.
Okay.
I'll tell my uncle I've changed my mind. I am interested in this map, but I'm not going to pester him with questions. I'm just going to look at it and see what I see, like in a strategy roll maybe.
Yeah, go for it.
I've got a success there, so I'll just stand there silently and look at the map and see what it looks like to me.
All right. It is going to be a tough nut to crack. Though from the markers that he has placed on Damas Solis, it's looking like he's estimating their troop strength to be around 10,000. Most of those will be gunmen, which is fairly bad. They're also trained soldiers, much like House Velix. So they're not conscripts, at least not yet. You imagine that they might start conscripting, which means that number will quickly swell because they have the entire population of Damas Solis inside the valley there.
Yeah.
Once that starts happening, they're also going to be able to train. You're not going to be able to besiege them because there are crops that can be grown in that valley.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be a war of attrition because Alexander can just sit in there and grow his army until eventually he has enough forces to steamroll you.
Right. This is the Damas Solis is where we're assaulting, where we're gonna what we're looking at here.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, and so I passed by there on my way here.
Yeah, you passed well to the south of it.
Yeah.
You passed through the lands of Duchessa Sarcherdos, and she was currently trying to, well, I guess you can see her army parked out there. She's trying to bust in through Duchessa Bellis's entrance.
Yeah.
Because right now, as long as Bellis holds the spiral, no one's getting in or out.
Right.
No.
All right. So based off of my strategy roll, then what does it seem like to me that would be the best course of action? Like, do we have to? Like, can we just work? Could we do just containment, or do we have to assault it? Is there some paths to assault that people aren't aware of, or?
The Cunabula was kind of sculpted over a many number of years between Solar, supposedly, according to the legends and the histories, between Solar and the first royal alchemists. They're the only ones that know how to destroy the black glass that makes up
Yeah.
the valley. And so the walls of the valley are left purposely serrated and sharp where humans won't, on average, come in contact with it, like the population, the citizens, right? So you could attempt to go down the valley walls, but most likely what will land at the bottom won't resemble a human
Right.
by the
You
time
get
it
all
hits.
sliced apart.
Yeah. So the best way you think right now would be to hit fast and hard before he can rally his troops. Right now, he's fighting or besieging. Most of his men are currently besieging the pontiff's estate
Yeah.
and trying to gain access to him because Alexander wants a legitimate blessing by sword point, most likely.
Yeah. However he can get it.
From the pontiff, so that way his rule, his reign is legitimate.
Okay. So
like right now, that's where your major time sink or your timer is
yeah.
before the pontiff breaks or his estate is completely taken over. You guys need to kind of get in there while the army's split.
Yeah. So it looks like they got about 10,000 men. My father's banners here about 3,000.
Yeah, you give or take.
And Duchessa, what was her name?
Duchessa Bellis.
Yeah. How many did she have when we passed? And she was assaulting the.
She's got about the same as Sarcherdos. She's got about 1,000. And Lockland also has 1,000, which is joined forces with Bellis.
Okay.
So they're sitting at about 2,000 right now. The men that fled, that you pass through their camp to get into the Castrum Low,
Yeah.
they're sitting at about 800-ish.
Okay.
And it would just be house guards. Those would actually be trained. They're not conscripts.
Yeah. And how many are my father bringing with him?
He's expected to bring about another 2,000 trained soldiers.
Okay.
Now, you also do know that if worse comes to worse, and if he very well could have already sent out letters on ships, there is the mercenary group that you guys are very heavily invested in due to the fact that most of the second or third sons
Yeah.
of Velix go there.
Okay.
So he could be sending for reinforcements, and they're all battle-hardened as the Near East is kind of in a constant state of rebellion against the Sultan.
Okay.
That's the other thing that you are seeing, is that there are reports of various rebels and nobles that weren't able to escape the city down there fighting. So there's a good chance that there's a good chunk of Alexander's forces trying to step out rebellions as they're springing up.
Yeah.
So he hasn't completely gained control yet, but that's all time that's slipping through your fingers very fast.
Yeah. And then, how many was on the other side of the river here at Castrum Low? I can't remember how many you said.
Low has 2,000
Okay.
green conscripts. You saw them training outside the city.
Okay.
And it's they're green as can be. They have potatoes stuck behind their ears still, like right off the farm. And that's another problem. If they're training here, who's doing the planting, right? Food is going to become a problem real quick if this is dragged on too long.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is quite a situation, Uncle.
You're telling me?
If the choice were yours, what would you do?
Your father already forbid me from the plan when I suggested it, but black glass really likes to heat up, and there's a good amount of it down in that valley still. I was just going to fire the whole thing. Watch them fry, all of them. But he says that that's a little bit going overboard.
That does sound like my father.
But I personally would not want to be going down into it personally. The spiral is going to be hard enough as it is. It's meant to be defended against things coming down. If you believe that, them stories and tales from the past, demons coming down, it's meant to withstand that. So I think he'll probably withstand us pretty good.
Okay. Well,
You want to give a listen?
yeah,
What
I
time?
have failed.
All right. So you don't hear the guards or the soldiers that are on lamp lighting duty enter into the tent, and it's one of them putting a lamp next to your hand and another hanging it. That kind of brings you out of this, and you definitely now realize it is now like full dark.
Yeah.
But you also don't hear the sound of about 3 people approaching the tent on horse
Okay.
until it's almost right on top of you.
Yeah, camps are loud.
That's when you hear the voice of one of your men, Commander Wesley Iacomos. He scrambles off his horse and salutes you first. I forgot about that.
Yes, let's go over to my tent so my uncle's not bothered by our conversation. He's cranky.
He eyes you.
Even though he's my favorite uncle. So we'll go over, I'll have, wherever that commander's tent that was set up for me.
Okay.
So let's go over there and we'll have a conversation.
Somewhere, Oswald Baxter sheds a single tear that he is not favorite uncle.
No, he is.
Oh, okay.
He's not here right now. So then we'll go to my tent there and see if it's ready for use. And
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is. Some of your basic stuff, like you were traveling fairly light,
yeah,
so you have like a bedroll, but they have supplied a cot of some sort
okay.
for you and a simple writing desk. And Wesley scrambled off his horse when your soldier was making his introduction, and he has been trying, potentially unsuccessfully, to give proper formalities. It seems like every time he begins to, something interrupts him, and he just shuts his mouth.
Okay.
So that's kind of a basic starting state that you can read off of him there, I guess, that he's kind of easily cowed or quieted.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'll say thank you. Thank you for coming to meet with me. I had some questions that I needed to ask you. I've met with my brother.
You gonna keep your soldiers there? Or your guards?
Well, Chelsea can stay. The others I'll dismiss.
All right.
I've met with my brother, and he explained that there were some, odd sensations that he experienced on this day that this terrible incident was to have occurred. Others have described him as seeming as if he was far gone in drink. And he mentioned you. He said that you could vouch for the fact that he generally doesn't drink very much. And I wanted to hear from you what you remember from that day.
Well, Comatus Velix is very much a teetotaler. He's kind of fidgeting as he's talking to you, looking down, stuff like that. You can make an insight if you wish.
Okay. The insight. Roll that. I failed.
You want to push?
Not
or,
paying attention today. Yeah. I'll push it.
or do you want to spend and not get the check?
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right, so 2 power points, or 1 power point equals 2 for lowering the number.
And do I just lower the power?
Yeah. If you hit 0, you become fatigued.
Okay. So that would be, I don't even have enough.
All right, so push.
Yeah.
All right.
That's crazy. That's same roll.
All right. So you're not quite getting too much information out of this, but you are noticing some similarities perhaps with your own face when you were a child and around Jared a lot, right? There's kind of a haunted look there.
Yes.
Make of that what you will.
Mm-hmm.
But he continues on. So was it? He was a teetotaler. And I can vouch for Lord Jared that he had no strong drink that day, my lord.
Mm-hmm.
But something was rather off about him towards early evening. He kind of is looking at you like there's some sort of like maybe, am I saying the right thing?
Right.
Kind of fishing for. Is this what my lord wants me to say?
Yes, and explain that. What seemed off about him?
He was rather loud and his speech was slurred.
Mm.
And when he got up for the night, he nearly stumbled.
I see. And have you seen him in that state before?
Never, my lord.
He told me that he drank mostly tea.
He did indeed, my lord.
And do you remember who was bringing this tea to him?
One of the servants' staff, my lord.
Was it always the same one?
There were a multitude that night. The Duke's Low had made the kitchen open, for we were discussing strategy and feasting for several days.
Did anybody else drink the tea?
Yes, my lord, there were many, but many would prefer instead mulled wine or ale.
Do you remember if he ever was out of your sight?
I usually stick close to him, my lord. You can roll another insight on that line of questioning. This will start with the... All right.
Success.
So you pick up something to do with the drink. He's not quite telling you something there. And you also are picking up some sort of oddity about why. So, like, the best you know of Gerard, he does not like people of lower status to him. Also, get me a etiquette or knowledge royal court. Sorry about that.
Just not my day.
Yeah, it's not. So you don't know who Wesley is baronia to, right? There's someone higher up the food chain, a comitus, and then a comitus is beholden to a dukes,
Okay.
right? So you don't know who he is beholden to, but you do know that Gerard outranks him.
Yeah.
And so why would Gerard be hanging out with someone lesser than him when he just has disdain for him, like naturally?
Yeah.
But there is something else about the drink that he's not telling you, the tea that Gerard drank that night. So
Yeah, I think I'm starting to develop a suspicion here. So see if I can put him off guard then. What would I... So instead of pressing in on that particular issue, I'll move along as if it's over. And I want to ask, who are you? When did you meet my brother? And how long have you known him? And I want to specifically pay attention when I push the questions away from that drink. If I get any physical reaction from him, like what's the word?
a start or
No, like if it
relaxing?
relaxes him, if he's like loses any tension.
Okay. All right. So he begins to tell you that he just recently inherited his father's lands. All right. I just recently inherited my father's lands last winter when he suddenly took ill. We're lesser city lords, as Gerard likes to call me, in service to Lachlan. If you want, you can roll strategy. For any time I ask for like a royal court knowledge,
Yeah.
you can roll strategy, and how it's going to change it is if, say, like I'm like roll an etiquette and you decide to roll strategy. Say you wanted to maneuver someone to thinking someone else had betrayed them. With etiquette, it could come off as a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
With strategy, it will come off as cold-blooded and dispassionate, right? That you maneuvered this person into obviously,
Yeah.
doing some sort of action. So you can roll the etiquette or you can roll the strategy to kind of take a cold-hearted look at what this could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do strategy then.
Yeah.
Success.
All right. You could think that Wesley is just being used, obviously, to have Gerard get in contact with Lachlan, and for some reason, he's just starting at the bottom rung. The other thing that you could be getting from this is that Gerard does occasionally collect people like this, meek, frail, weak-willed,
Yeah.
and just takes enjoyment in torturing them in some fashion, physically or mentally.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be best of both worlds, perhaps. You don't quite like to fathom the workings of your brother's mind,
Right.
I'd say. Wesley, for your attempt at throwing him off guard, doesn't seem to relax. He seems to always be tense.
Yeah. Okay.
As for that, he met your brother I met Lord Gerard by happenstance at a ball, a gathering in the city, and he, for some reason, wished to continue on into friendship.
Mm. And how have you enjoyed your friendship with my brother?
You can roll an insight on that.
Failure.
All right. You do see a visible change in his face, but you don't quite register what it is.
Okay.
He's a most enjoyable person to be around, my lord.
Yeah.
But you hear the lie in that
Yeah.
without needing to roll, but you don't quite get at what you're potentially going for.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just having a hard time getting a read on this guy. But it seems to me that he of anybody was the one in the best place to be drugging my brother, especially if other people were drinking the tea and he said he never left Gerard's sight. It seems to me like he's probably the best placed one. And I know he would have motive to do it if he spent any time with my brother and what my brother no doubt put him through. He would definitely have motive for it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, roll another willpower, or not insight or strategy. Oh, damn. You want to push?
It's pissing me off. Yeah, I'll push. Critical.
Well, that is a good theory. The cold logical side of your brain calculating this. You don't think this man has the will to go against anything your brother says.
Right.
You think right now you could put a dagger in his hand and put it to your throat and take a step forward, and that he would end up cutting his hand, preventing the dagger from going into your throat.
Right.
Doesn't defeat. Maybe there's some other thing there, but you don't think he willingly or knowingly would do that.
Yeah.
You still have other line of questioning with the drink if you want to
Yeah, I
pursue
do.
that.
It's time to push in on that. So let me look at this character sheet here. What can I? Because obviously he lives his whole life scared. So
We determined that you have base intimidation now, which I think we put down, right?
yeah, we did.
And that would be without actual threat of violence, or you could use your weapons skill and it would be an overt threat of violence, but achieve the same thing. But if you fail, it would be like, I'm now able to defend myself against your obvious threat type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Not that this man would probably do so.
Yeah. What if I went the opposite direction?
Persuade or...
Yeah, be nice to him. Like, be like, for the first time in his life. Like, I guess persuade. That's not
all right.
gonna work very well.
We'll make it easy.
Yeah, I guess persuade's the only thing I can think of. So I guess we'll try that.
Yeah, easy persuade.
All right.
You got it, though. All right, so what do you say? How you go about it, anyway?
Yeah, so then, we're not being intimidating. We're being nice and, drilling into this thing about the drink. Come on. I know you know something here. I know you can help me. I want to help you. I want to get all this sorted out and straightened out. I don't want to, I'm not trying to put anything on you, and I'm not going to, I'm not going to intimidate you. I'm not going to be mean to you. I just need to know what's going on with this.
He looks at
this
you.
Drink, because something weird's happening.
He looks at you hopefully when you say that you're not going to essentially be mean or abuse him.
Yeah.
And he looks very worried that he's about to disappoint you.
Mm-hmm.
No, my lord. Like, I took after he left for the night, I took a sip of his tea, and nothing odd. I tasted no alcohol. It was slightly flowery and oddly bitter.
How much of it did you drink?
Just a sip, my lord. But there is something that was odd.
There was something strange about it?
Not the drink, my lord, but the castrum itself. I think it's haunted.
Is that a thing?
You can very well believe it is. All the standard superstitions from this type of era do apply.
Okay.
Yeah. So as I went back to my room, I thought I saw a shadow at the end of the hallway. And then as I laid in bed, I was suddenly taken with fever, and my eyes grew heavy. And these shadows continued to appear throughout the night, whispering things that only I knew or could know. And I fell asleep sometime around daybreak.
In your room?
In my room. And when I had awoken later that evening, word of Lord Gerard's transgressions had already spread.
Was there any distinguishing features of this shadow? Could you see a face, or?
Sometimes I thought I saw my father.
Did it sound like your father?
Yes, my lord. Sometimes. Sometimes it had no real voice that I can discern whatsoever.
Did it touch you?
No, my lord.
It was always where,
out of reach.
Out of reach?
It became clear out of the corner of my eye. Movement.
And did you see the shadow before you took a sip of my brother's tea?
He thinks. No, my lord.
You see.
No. But there are always odd stories about the castrums.
That's true. I'm sure every castrum has stories like this. How far away from your chambers was my brother's room?
Not far.
Did you see him to his room? Did he get back to his?
No.
When did he part from you?
Mid-evening?
Did he go with anybody?
No, my lord. Said that he was going to retire to his room.
Then, okay. All right. Well, so then I'll just, if I've gotten the sense that he's being truthful, whether he's correct or not is a different story. But if I get the sense that he believes what he's telling me, then.
Yeah, he believes what he's saying. He believes that ghosts walk the castrum. He probably very well believes that something like that could have occurred.
Yeah.
But he's also not really pitching that. He's just saying that there is something that walks the Castrom's halls at night.
Right. But I'm picking up on that he didn't see it until after he had taken a drink of Gerard's tea.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And they were there for a number of days.
Okay. Well, I'll thank him and send him on his way.
Thank you, my lord. But he'll look out at the night. Could I perhaps have a tent here? And I can leave in the morning?
Oh, I'm sure one can be found for you. I'll tell, one of my guards to find him someplace to sleep.
Thank you, my lord. Thank you. And he'll follow the guard that you signal for him.
All right. And then did any of my men come back who I had said about the task of finding a alchemist or apothecary or whatever? I'd wanted them to go look for somebody who would make or know about drugs or poison or whatever.
Roll
a chirurgery.
Yeah, chirurgeon.
Yeah. I had said I wanted to send some people to go look for that, but I don't know. Luck. Success.
All right. Roll 1d4.
3.
Alrighty. All right. You're sure that you can find someone, but none that night.
Okay.
It was already kind of late in the day. Your men are unfamiliar with the area.
Right. Okay. Yeah, well, I guess I don't know what else to do for tonight, so it's probably time to retire.
All right. So...
I'll have Chelsea stay here with me.
All right. Yeah, he has a cot brought in.
Yeah.
All right. So...
How is Lachlan spelled?
Lachan, I believe. It's Lachlan, but it essentially means the same as Lachlan. Let me double check here for you. Yeah, Lachlan.
Okay.
So, a couple days pass, and nothing has really transpired. Your uncle continues to move various pieces around that map while giving orders. He's collecting supplies for the army right now for the march. And it seems like the gate's open, so he's at least happy enough with that.
Okay.
On the morning of the 24th, Duncan the Younger appears in your camp with a small party.
Okay.
Looks like he's going hunting, and he's guided to your tent.
Okay.
Greetings, Lord Velix.
Lord Duncan.
Please. I am going about on a spot of hunting. There's game in the nearby hills and woods. I was wondering if you'd like to join me.
Oh, I would love to.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for the invitation. What are we hunting?
Preferably boar or deer.
Excellent. Those are my favorite things to hunt.
Mine too. I find that in these, well, before the current times, but in peaceful times, that hunting is the only thing that really sates that desire for battle.
Yes.
You can roll your eyes at that if you wish. Very well. Have you broken your fast?
Well, have I?
It's up to you.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm ready to go.
Very well. Then we can set out as soon as you've saddled your horse.
Excellent. All right, so I'll get my horse ready, and then I'll tell Chelsea we're going hunting.
He kind of looks at you. Were you one for hunting back in Marasaurus?
Yeah, I'd like to think I was.
Okay.
That I enjoyed it.
So then I guess he doesn't eye you too suspiciously. He's
Okay.
more of an okay.
Yeah.
So he goes about ordering for the horses to be saddled, and that is when some of your men come up to you. They salute, Commander.
Yes, what's going on?
We found, they kind of lean close, we found a hedge witch who says she knows herbs.
Oh.
And they're like, if you would like to speak with her, when you have her in the kitchen, or near the kitchens.
Okay. Lord Duncan, if you'll excuse me for just one short moment, I have a matter to attend to.
I'll stay here. Lord Morgan says that he'd like my assistance.
Yes, he no doubt would like to hear your opinions. And then I'll go meet this hedge witch.
All right, so that's where we'll stop with you, is going up to her. She is what you would expect of a hedge witch.
Stunningly beautiful.
Absolutely. But no, she's not an overly ugly woman. She's just old, and she's bent, and she's dressed in the clothes of a common woman.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
actually, I think that's where we'll have to stop for the day.
Okay.
Sorry, Travis and
No
Jardane. I'll try. Let's see. Yeah, roll against your skills. I do apologize.
This has been a Deathwatch production. Thank you for listening.